Hello, hello, hello everyone. It is Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art, where I love sharing art from my heart and teaching you how to create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to turn you guys around and we're going to get started on this really fun fall design. I have very simply sketched out a double wood sign, a bucket, and then we're going to get started on our sky and our meadow. Okay, I wet my brush a little bit, and I mostly wet my brush, unless you have a new brush, I wet my brush to bring the fibers together. We don't want to have bedhead on our brush when we are painting. Okay, so I'm just coming in here and I'm going to start doing my background. Now this is just background, color blocking, whatever you want to call it. I am picking up white and blue every time. I could skip the white if I wanted to. My canvas is white, but I like the finish that paint gives the canvas, so I paint my white regardless. And I'm just going to come in here and do my best to paint up here in the sky. I'm not being particularly careful. I do like to outline a little bit. And then for my sky, I want all my brush strokes to go the same way. So I'll fill this in, but when I come back, I'm making these brush strokes go horizontal like these did up here. Okay, I'm going to pick up a tiny bit of this darker blue on just the edge of my brush, tiny bit on a corner, and I'm going to blend it in just to give my sky a little bit more character. You want some dark blue, you want some light blue, you want some white in there. You want a nice variation of blues. Unless you're painting a gray sky or a sunset or a sunrise, then you can have whatever variation you want. But presumably this is a sunny sky. I added some dark blue to it, and that'll be that. And I'm going to wash my brush. Our paintings have to go through various stages before we get to where the point where we're like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense now. That's pretty, I like that. We work from the bottom up. So we work from the back layers up to the top. There's a reason for that. You can't paint behind something. And also, this way, as we add our layers, we get more detailed. If we don't like something that we painted in the back, we can fix it when we get to the details in the front. And now I'm just doing the same thing. I'm picking up two greens. I have a light green and a dark green on my brush. And I'm going to paint around the signs and into what is going to be the meadow part of our painting down here. And this is just for background, because when we're all done, we don't want to see any white. We only want to see green for the meadow and blue for the sky. If you see this piece back here, I keep this plastic sheet in here to protect the rest of the pages of my art journal. It really only serves a purpose to protect. So then when I go off the page, I'm not getting paint all over the rest of my pages and having my book stick together. If you noticed, each time I pick up more paint, I dip one corner in the light and one corner in the dark. Light, dark. And this just gives us multiple variations of green. It doesn't just give us light and green. It gives us a lot of other colors that the light and green make. I wouldn't say colors, actually, values of the light and green, because as they mix, some areas will be lighter, some areas will be darker. I'm making this line straight for now. It is not going to be straight. When we do our grasses and stuff, of course it's going to come up and over. But for now, my line where my sky meets my grasses is going to be straight. When we start painting in our details and our leaves and our florals, then you're going to see how stuff is going to reach up into the sky. But for now, we can just paint a straight line. This is just color blocking. This is just doing the background colors of our painting. And this little corner down here. And there we go. Okay. So I have left my wood slat, my 2 signs, and my bucket. And I'm going to wash my brush. So that's basically our first layer. Our second layer is going to be our wood sign. This slat and our post. So I'm going to load my brush up in this, I have this very light tan, it's called Fawn. And I'm going to start base coating in the wood for my sign. So this is the upright post. And then these slats. The bucket is in front, so we're going to paint right over the handle of our bucket. Now I'm going to pick up the fawn and the dark brown, the same way I picked up the blue and the white and the 2 greens. I want to make my nice straight line here for the top of my sign, or this piece of my sign, and then I'm going to start filling it in. Every time I go back, I pick up some dark brown, some of the fawn, and now you can really see how we're getting the 2 values in here. We're getting a faux wood grain, and that's exactly what we want. You don't want to overblend. I need a straight line here, so I'm going to turn this upside down. I'm going to come in here with my brush, and I'm just going to slowly bring it across where it meets the green and paint in a straight line. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to be adding greenery and some florals. Okay, but every time I go back, I'm picking up the dark brown and this fawn color. So we have a faux wood pattern on this slat of wood here. Let me turn you guys around again. And you can make these woods any color you want. If you want to make them white and gray, you wanted to make them deeper brown with some light highlights, totally up to you. If you wanted to paint them a color other than like a wood tone, that's fine too. It's your art. This is just a simple background design, and you can really do a variety of things with it if you wanted to. I'm going to pick up some of this dark brown and add it up here to this upright post in the back. Okay, and then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to do the same thing. I need a little bit more fawn. And I'm going to do the same thing with this piece of our fence down here. Although our slat on our fence is a little crooked, the wood itself is straight. So our wood is straight, but this part of our fence is a little angled. Picking up the dark and the light, and I'm coming in here. Another thing, when we're doing these fence slats, we want all our brush strokes to go the same way. This is a faux wood design we are creating, and we want our brush strokes to all go the same way, and in this case that would be horizontal. And then we're just going to do this little back part. So I filled in this whole part back here with the tan, and now I'm just adding a little bit of this dark brown in here to get the faux wood going. Okay, and in here a little bit more too. And then down here as well. Okay? Okay. So now we have our sky, we have our wood sign, and we have our post done. And I'm going to wash my brush. Give it a little rinse. And now I'm going to mix a little bit of white with some black to get a light gray. And we're going to start painting in our bucket here. Again, none of this has to be perfect. So much of this is going to be covered up that you don't have to worry about it being perfect, because when we spend so much time on our background, sometimes we're like, oh, this is taking forever. And you know, we only have 20, 30, 40 minutes to maybe create, to have some time for ourselves to paint. So the background is really just background. We're going to be adding so much to this that the background is not going to, well, it matters, but you're not going to see a lot of it. And you're going to be like, oh, I have to fix this, I have to fix this, I have to fix this. When really you don't, because at the end of the day, or at the end of your art, or at the end of your painting period, you're not going to even see any of that. So I took in a little bit of black on the corner of my brush, and I painted in, over here I wanted a little bit of shadow on this side of my bucket. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, just with the corner, just in black. A little black goes a very long way. And I'm just on the corner of my brush, adding a little shadow. Okay, and then I'm just going to even it out in the middle. Shadows to the end, and a little bit of light in the center. Okay. Okay. I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to put a little bit in the top here for the rest of my post. I don't know if we're going to see it or not, but just in case, I'm just going to come in here and I'm just going to drag this down. And a lot of it is going to be covered with what's in our bucket or with our background, but I'm just going to add a little bit in here like that. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to get a little bit, I guess about a medium round. I'm going to get this little medium round one here. Okay. I'm going to load it up with mostly our dark paint. Let me see if I can pull you guys out a little bit. And you can see my palette here. I'm going to load it up with mostly our dark paint. I'm going to twirl it. And then I'm going to just come over here. I'm going to pick up some of the light paint. And I want to start adding in some shadow to the edges of our wood pieces. So I'm just picking up a little bit more dark paint. I mixed it with a little bit of the tan, and I'm just coming along the bottom of this wood slat and the bottom of the one pointed arrow for our directions, and adding a little bit of shadow. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom one. Dark paint, pick up a little bit of the light paint, and then come in here. Now again, a lot of this is going to be covered. This is still background elements. This is not, you know, the focal point of our painting. But if we have gaps and we have spaces, we want to be able to see the shadow. We want to be able to see what's in the background. We want it to be correct. And a little bit on this side. That one's horizontal. This one's vertical. Okay? Now I'm going to add into some of my faux wood here. So I'm using this round brush, and I'm adding in a little bit more detail. Light touch. I'm barely touching with the point of my brush, this medium round brush I'm using. And I'm just adding in some more faux wood texture. I'm even going to come over here to the side of my white. I'm not even going to wash my brush. And I'm adding in a little bit more faux wood texture to my sign. And you can make this as detailed. I'm not going to put lettering on my sign, but you could. You could say welcome, you could say farm, you could say your name, your address, whatever it is. You could say corn maze, pumpkin picking, whatever you want. I had a little too much white here, and so I just went back. I picked up some tan, I picked up some brown, and covered over it. That is one of the beauties of acrylic paint. You can fix anything. Okay? So, I'm going to wash my brush. Okay. Now, before I move on, I'm going to take a little bit more of the black, a little bit more of the white. I'm going to mix it. And I'm going to paint in the handle of my bucket. And I just have some paint on my brush. I'm going back in here and I'm just adding in a little bit of texture to the front of my bucket. Right there. Okay? I'm gonna wash my brush. And now I'm just going to start adding in some grasses. So I'm going to pick up my greens. I'm going to come down here at the bottom. And I'm just going to start flicking in some grass. Sometimes I pick up the light green. Sometimes I pick up the dark green. This is why we did the wood sign first, because now that's in the background. And we're covering up some of it, see? That's what I meant. That's why your background doesn't have to be perfect. We have those elements in there. We did our shading. Now we're coming back in and we're adding in our grasses. And then we're even going to put in some sunflowers. Don't forget this side. You can even use a third green if you wanted to, or add a little bit of white to your green, add some yellow maybe. My flowers are going to be yellow, so. And I'm just flicking up the brush, light touch and flicking up. Okay, so I set my bucket back. The tall grass is over the sign. Okay. And now I'm going to start adding in some leaves. So I'm just going to do some background leaves here, like in little football shapes. Both colors of the greens. So some of them I'm doing like a little bit of a wave. Some I'm doing an actual football shaped leaf. both greens. These are going to be in the background. I have some cover up the bottom here, hanging over the side of the bucket. Okay. I'm going to have some big ones coming out the top. We have like a little bit of ivy maybe growing off the top of our sign. And again, these are just base coating. I need more green paint. We work from the bottom layer up. And these are background. Dark green, light green. I keep all my paints in a bucket as I paint. This way when I'm done, I know exactly what colors I've used and I can make you all a list. If you noticed in my previous YouTube videos, most of them have the supply list, and it tells you exactly what kind of colors of paint you need. Okay, so we're just going to do that for now. Let me put a few more up in here. Okay. Now I'm going to get out this very light yellow. This is Decor Art Yellow Ochre. I'm going to use my dirty brush and I'm just going to add it to some of my leaves. Just creating a little bit more texture on my leaves. Some little highlight and then some shadowing. And these are just simple football shaped leaves. These are great beginner leaves. When you paint your leaves, you just want to make sure that they're a little bit tapered. You want them narrow on the bottom and narrower at the top, a little bit wider in the middle. And again, we're going to be covering up a lot of these with our flowers still. So these are just set into the background to get started. I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to get my liner brush. Now we need to put in some stems in our leaves. So the big leaves I've already painted in here. I'm just going back in and I'm putting in stems. And up here, we need a way to connect them because this is like a vine that's growing up here. I'll put another vine down here. And I'm just painting in these little, I have my pointer finger hanging out. I'm putting very light pressure on my brush and I'm putting in a middle stem in all my leaves. Okay. Then I'm going to pick up this smaller brush. I'm going to put both color greens on it. One corner, one corner. I'm going to put in some filler leaves. Light, dark. Light, dark. Light, dark. Okay. And while I have those, I'm going to connect these all with a stem. So you can see how that's just the ivy growing over the top there. Okay? I'm going to rinse all my brushes. I'll give a rinse. Now using this smaller brush, this is the one I started with. This is about 1/2 inch wide. You can see the difference. Now I'm using this more narrow one. It's more like a 1/4 inch. I was using this one. Now I went to the smaller 1/2 inch one. And I'm going to pick up some brown. And I'm going to just start drawing in some little donut shapes. And these are going to be where my sunflowers are going to be. Maybe that one came off. We're going to go back over these, but right now, this is just for placement on my design. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Need another one. Maybe down here. Okay. Let me wash my brush. And this is how we build a painting. We built it from the bottom up, like a house, a foundation from the bottom up. We did our background, the sky and the green. Then we put in our big fence and our bucket. Then we started adding some background leaves and our grasses, and we worked from the bottom layer up. That's why I tell you, not everybody believes me all the time. Your background is important, but if you messed up here, it doesn't matter. 'Cause I could just add, if I didn't like something here, I just add another leaf. If your wood's not perfect, add another leaf. You're not going to see it. It's totally okay. A lot of times we have these visions in our heads, and we think that it has to look like what we see in our head. If we all could do with our hands what we see in our head, we'd be pretty amazing people. But we can't. And nobody else can see in our head what we saw. And it's okay if what comes out on the paper is not exactly what like you've envisioned in your head. It really is okay. The point is to have fun and create and sit back and have some time for yourself. So I've added the 2 yellows. I have the yellow ochre that I used for the leaves, and now I added some marigold. And now I'm just going to come in and I'm going to start adding in petals to all of these sunflowers in the background. That's why I said the centers don't matter, because we'll be going back over the centers. Picking up dark, light. I put a little bit of a push in my brush. Push and slide, push and slide. Pick up some dark paint. Oh, I don't like that one. Push and slide. Pick up some dark paint, pick up some light paint, and I'm pushing and sliding to a point. And every time I pick up some dark paint and some light paint. I'm going to be going around and adding another layer of petals to each of my flowers. And again, background. It's okay when some of your elements go off the page. Kind of makes it a little bit more interesting. Sorry, getting a little distracted over here. There we go. So again, dark, light, and just keep working around your flower. Sometimes we even, things happen. We don't have the perfect petal, but we can go back and fix that. You can go right back over it. If you're wondering what's up here, these are another series. These are the August 5-minute paintings of the month. These are on my YouTube already. How to paint a poppy, how to paint a chrysanthemum, and how to paint a gladiolus. I upload 3 to 4 5-minute flowers every month on my YouTube. Honestly, painting a sunflower is my very favorite flower. I'm quick and easy with them. There's a variety of yellows. They remind me of the sun shining. So, and I'm just going around all of my centers, and we're going to go back and fix them. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. Each time I try to remember to leave my light paint to one side and my dark paint to one side. Sometimes I get mixed up. I'm going to be honest, but I try. Sometimes I get mixed up more often because I'm talking to you all. Okay, I'm going to go back to this one. Okay, now you can see the painting is really starting to come to life. So I'm going to come back, I'm going to start filling in extra petals on my plants, on my sunflowers. This time I'm not putting as much pressure on my brush. I don't want the top petals to be as wide. So I'm not putting as much pressure on my brush, so these will be a little bit more narrow and are going like in between the first set. Or sometimes I like to call it the skirt, the first skirt of the flower. When you get here where they go off the page, you don't even have to do a little twist. You just want to put your brush over it. Oops. I see I have that one bud up there, but I kind of got crowded, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that yet. We shall see. And I'm just filling in, working my way around. Oh, I have a little bit of a, there we go, sorry. Okay, I'm going to wash my brush. I'm going to get that medium round brush I was using before. Wash that as well. Pick up my brown. I'm going to go back in, and now I'm going to add in the centers. They're picking up a little bit of the yellow, and that's okay. It's making like a natural highlight and shadow within the center. And I'm just twirling this brush around in between my middle finger and my thumb. I have another one in here, so I'm going to leave this one here. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it. That's going to be a bud. And then we have one in here I almost forgot about. I picked up a little bit of black on my brush to go in here and darken these centers a little bit. That's it. Okay, I'm going to go back to my yellows. And this one I'm just going to make a little bit of a bud. So I'm only going to put a few petals onto the bottom of it. There we go. Okay, and that one's just going to hang out there. I'm going to wash my little round brush. Give it a rinse. And then pick up my very light color of yellow and just tap in a few highlights in each of my centers. and presumably the sun is in the same direction, and so they will all have this little highlight on the same direction. And I'm going to go back to my greens. And I just want to add a few more little filler flowers. Not too many, but I think I need a few more here and there. Let's see. There's a little bit more room. How about some here? Okay. I'm going to clean my brush, or rather, I'm going to fix my brush. And I could get my liner brush for this, but I'm just going to pull stems in with this brush. I have this brush right now. It's dirty. I'm using it. I can come in here and pull in some stems with that brush. What do you guys think? If we wanted to add some more grasses, we can. If we wanted to add some more leaves, we can. If we wanted to add a ladybug or butterfly, we could do that too. I'm going to pick up a little bit of this green, and on these these darker, bigger leaves, I'm going to add more of the veining in here. I'm not going to do it so much on the little leaves, but on these bigger leaves. A tiny bit of the more of the veining, just little narrow lines, just to give those big leaves a little bit more character. It's almost the same color green. The original one was a little bit of a mix, but you can kind of see it, and that's fine. It's almost like just a hint of it in the back. And I'm just adding little baby leaves to some of my stems. And I think that will do it. So let me turn you guys around, pop this out, and show you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this sunflower painting. Have fun! Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.